Welcome back, episode 61 of the Superparent Syndrome, and I am your host, Dr. Nick Fanning. Sit back and relax. Today's topic is, what are you getting paid for?
Parenting in the 21st century is ever evolving, and while you balance work, kids, and your sanity, it's easy to feel discouraged. Welcome to the Superparent Syndrome with your host, Dr. Nick Fanning.
So here's the deal. We're all having to make money. We have people to support. We have people depending on us, and it is not always an easy task, whether or not you're a business owner and therefore have to make sure that you make payroll for not only yourself, but also families that work for you. And then if you're honestly working for somebody else, then you also have to provide the value of work for the business to keep it going, but then also you need to be able to make sure that you're making enough to bring home as well. And sometimes that can be a little tough, especially with the growing costs in healthcare and food and groceries and all these different standards of living, and then us having to make sure that we buckle down and actually get the amount that we need. And if we don't, then having to take a second or third job or even doing a side gig. Whatever it is, here's the thing. I have to ask yourself, there is a difference in mindset when you start considering how much you're being paid. For example, if you're making $15 per hour, or somebody is paying you $15 for an entire hour, meaning it's a slightly different play on words, but you have to realize that you're exchanging 1 hour of your life for a certain amount of money. And when you start thinking about it that way, and also what is also involved with the time that you could have away from that job, time with your kids, how much is that time worth? Or exercising, how much is that time worth? Or eating or prepping or spending time with loved ones or having sex or shopping or whatever it might be. Each of those things has value. And if you are trading an hour of time with your kids for $10, then that might be a good investment at times, especially when you have to get food on the table. And other times, it may not be a good investment. In fact, it might be something that's energy poor and something that you're going to regret later on. You're just like, gosh, why the heck did I kill myself to slave over something where I could have had more time with my children? Folks, you have to look at it in that regards because, honestly, when you start thinking like, hey, I'm making $13 an hour, that's pretty good, or $14 an hour, or $30 per hour, $165 per hour, it's kind of, wherever you are at in life, when you start thinking about what you're trading an hour of your time for, and really that's an hour of your life for $13 or $60 or $120, it puts it a lot more interesting, perspective otherwise. I remember back in the day when I was 16, minimum wage was $4.25 an hour, and I was on basically they were trial care, basically. It was a probationary period, they call it, and I was getting paid $3 an hour for an entire summer. And back then, for $3 an hour, I was getting 40 hours a week for the summer as a kid, 16-year-old at a department store called Alco, which is now out of business. And man, looking back, as soon as the summer was over, they hired somebody else, and the guy was, older than me, but he was making more than I was, and he didn't have to do a probationary period. And I was thinking, I totally got screwed over in this arrangement. I was so excited for a first job outside of the family business, but then it taught me the value of if I could work for myself versus working for somebody else, and realizing what am I willing to trade in my own life and my own time for the value of the dollar getting there. And so it was a goal of mine to make sure that I could provide the very highest value in exchange for time on this planet. Because when I keep saying this over and over again, in the entire history of the world, both history and future, there's only one you. In the entire distance, there's only one you. And you have to protect yourself. You can't sell your soul for money. You can't sell your soul for that fame. You got to make sure that you're wanting that time and using it wisely for the things that you truly want. So look at your own life, look at your own job, and make sure that you're actually having a good exchange of services being there. And if you're not, then fearlessly explore, fearlessly figure that out. And especially if you're a business owner and you're not getting paid your worth, then you need to step it up in another way. And I'm here to help out anybody who needs that. Just make sure you reach out to me. Folks, I'm launching a new project. I have consolidated my projects into one big one called the 1% Club. I'm going to be doing a daily podcast here on the Superparent Syndrome, and I'm going to be doing longer interviews on the Worthy podcast. But I encourage you guys to head over to my website, vitalityne.com, and there's going to be a sign up for a newsletter there. I'm going to start putting that all over the place, especially on the Facebook pages and also on the other blog or podcast pages. But right now it's only on Vitality NE, and this is on that Thursday, April 12th. As I get through the week, it's going to be more and more places, but there's going to be basically a daily dose of inspiration. And the way I call it the 1% Club is my goal is that every single day we're improving by 1%. And if you think of the course over 1 year, that's 365%. You're literally going to be 3.5 times more of a person at the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year, because we're only focusing on 1% every single day versus trying to hit a home run every single day, trying to hit 25%, 40%, 50%, 100% every single day and swinging and missing. We're only going to focus on a tiny, tiny little base hit. It's a thing that was taught to me by my coach, Gary J. White from Wake Up Warrior, and I've applied it in a different format to call it the 1% Club, because every single day we're going to move that needle 1%. I hope you join me. Stay tuned. We're about to get a little crazy here. So now's the time to unsubscribe if you don't want every single day, but I tell you, I'm going to give you some amazing, amazing content. See you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Super Parent Syndrome. Please be sure to visit peptalksforparents.com for more content and our free newsletter. And remember, you are not alone.